Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Anybody that's new to the channel, my name is Chris, and in this video we're going to talk about High Tide stock, ticker symbol HITIF. Now High Tide is a penny stock and it is a Canada cannabis based company. Try saying that fast. It's a Canada cannabis based company, okay? So there has been a lot of room and a lot of talks the beginning of year 2021, the first quarter of year 2021, that cannabis stocks are the stocks in the industry to basically invest into, right? So when it comes to picking and choosing the right penny stock or the right, the marijuana stock, we have to be very diligent and do our research into deciding which stock is the right one to invest our money into, right? Now, High Tide just reported the earnings, and believe it or not, guys, they did surprise a lot of investors and a lot of shareholders. So in this video, I basically want to go over their earnings and basically the potential that High Tide has long term. Okay, so let's quickly get into it. Now, High Tide, right? They reported the earnings and the revenue increased by 118% to $24.9 million. Okay, now when it comes to penny stocks, because right now High Tide is trading around 62 cents, okay? When it comes to penny stocks, one of the biggest things you always want to see is increased in revenue and increased in margin and cash in hand, basically, all right? Because a lot of penny stocks, believe it or not, guys, a lot of penny stocks don't last 2 or 3 years in the market. A lot of them go bankrupt or basically go out of business, okay? So seeing this, that the revenue increased by 118%, in my opinion, High Tide did a pretty good thing, okay? Their gross profit increased by 112% to $8.7 million in the fourth quarter of year 2020, and by 172% to $30.8 million for the year ending in October 31st, 2020, okay? Again, you always like to see profits, okay? So they did get a pretty good profit margin in their last quarter. The gross profit margin in the fourth quarter was 35% and 37%. Their adjusted EBITDA for the fourth quarter was $3.6 million and $8 million for the year that ended in October 31st, 2020. Awesome. Now, one of the biggest things that many people have been debating about when it comes to penny stocks is whether or not the United States will finally legalize cannabis in the States, right? So there has been a lot of room and attention because of the president, right? So there is a lot of speculation that marijuana is going to be legalized here in the States. So now this next category, in my opinion, is going to be very key for any cannabis companies, because a lot of cannabis companies are located over there in Canada. Geographically, in the fourth quarter of 2020, $20.6 million of revenue was earned in Canada. Obviously, it's a cannabis-based company, right? $4.1 million in the US and $0.2 million internationally. Okay, so $4.1 million in the United States, that's something to, I guess, worry about. But long term, if the United States does legalize marijuana, that number is going to increase for High Tide. And as long as the United States, starts giving them some sort of revenue and that specific number and that specific category starts to increase, High Tide will probably be a company to buy into. Okay, segment wise, in the fourth quarter of 2020, $22.6 million of revenue was generated by retail, $2.2 million by wholesale. And again, you could kind of see how diversified High Tide actually is. High Tide has many different types of brands incorporated into one particular company. Okay, cash on hand. Now, this is a very important metric that, in my opinion, is very important when you start investing into penny stocks or any type of company. How much money, how much liquidity, and how much capital do they have in hand to basically reinvest back into the company, to help with marketing, to help expand, and to help grow this one particular company. When it comes to penny stocks, that is very important, right? Why? Because you don't want to see the value of this stock plummet, right? It's trading around 62 cents right now. You want to see this stock and this company grow long term, right? So cash in hand is going to be a very important metric going forward for High Tide, okay? So cash on hand was $7.5 million. The company's cash balance has increased to around $38 million as of today. So they have $38 million cash in hand, okay? So in my opinion, that is good, okay? Because this is probably the best quarter and the best type of results that High Tide has had in a very long time. Okay, the CEO stated that the adjusted EBITDA making 2020 the best year in High Tide's history. President and Chief Executive Officer, we continue to run our operations tightly, ending the year off with the record levels of revenue and adjusted EBITDA. We are excited about our trajectory in the US, continue to prioritize and look for opportunities in the market. So in my opinion, guys, High Tide did pretty well in their earnings, okay? So when it comes to High Tide long term, and High Tide as a price prediction. Where is this company heading in the future? So there's a lot of things going around now because I believe Wyoming just passed a law to legalize marijuana in the states, okay? Making it the 17th state in the United States to legalize medical cannabis, right? And if that continues to happen, or if it becomes nationwide purely in the United States, the revenue growth for a lot of cannabis companies is going to increase drastically, okay? The cannabis industry, in my opinion, is going to be a whole type of industry to basically hold and buy into and invest long term, okay? But you have to be very careful into which companies you're actually putting your money into. Again, the very key metrics, in my opinion, when it comes to companies is how much cash do they have, how much debt, and just how much type of revenue and growth potential that these companies actually have. So by High Tide having $38 million cash in hand, that's pretty good, and that's a pretty good starting point just to start off and to continue the rest of the year, okay? Because it only goes up from here. If they continue to execute and perform and do what they're doing and basically better themselves as a company as an overall, this company can make, 45 million and have, $45 million cash in hand, okay? So High Tide is one of these cannabis companies that has been getting a lot of hype lately, okay? Social media like Reddit and all that stuff, along with Tilray, of Thier, and all these other cannabis companies, right? But it's always good to pick very good, solid companies, okay? And especially when it comes to penny stocks, you always try to be the first one into these penny stocks, okay? Now, one thing, because I have a lot of comments, a lot of people always asking me questions, okay? High Tide is traded on the OTC market, okay? So it's not traded on the NASDAQ, so you won't be able to buy High Tide in Robinhood or Webull. You have to go get a brokerage like Fidelity or E-Trade just in case, because I know a lot of people always ask me, oh, I can't find the stock in my Robinhood, or I can't find the stock in my Webull, I can't buy it. They're in the OTC market, okay? They're not in the NASDAQ, so you have to get a brokerage that supports the OTC markets, all right, guys? So my price prediction for High Tide, I still do think High Tide does have a long way to go to become a power player in the cannabis industry, right? Because when you listen and think about cannabis companies, you think about Canopy Growth, you think about Tilray, Thier, you think about those companies first, okay? But High Tide does have a lot of potential for growth, right? Right now they have a market cap of 384.7 million and an average value of 9.2 million, okay? And to be honest with you guys, they had a high of 88 cents, okay? So they dropped down, let's say 20% since their highs, but this company does still have a lot of room for growth. And I do think it could probably reach $1 within the next 3-6 months. I do think that's probably a high ceiling for High Tide, but it's very doable for this company. All right, guys, so that's my High Tide price prediction. That's my High Tide recap on how the earnings did. In my opinion, they did pretty well. Okay, a lot of investors were pretty happy about High Tide and how the earnings went, especially with the cash on hand and how much liquidity they actually have on their balance sheet. So that's always a good news. All right, guys. So comment down below if you guys have any questions on High Tide, or if you guys want me to go a little bit more in depth on High Tide and what they're particularly actually doing, how they actually make some sort of revenue, and how I think this company can actually start to grow and be a very powerful player in the cannabis industry. Comment down below, like the video. It does help me out and does kind of show me that you guys enjoy this type of content. All right, guys. I always try to give you guys the most up-to-date information that I possibly can. If something you like and you do enjoy, if you want to follow the journey, remember to subscribe down to the channel, hit the notification bell, and smash the like button. It does help me out. All right, guys. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching all the way through. We are almost at 900 subs, 1,000 subs. We are on our road, and we are chucking and trying to make it there. All right, guys. But I won't be able to do it without you guys. All right, guys. So thank you all for watching, and peace out, guys. Take care. Love y'all. Bye.